This has been a tough week. It's been a tough weekend. It's been a tough day. And I think as members of the Senate, as we approach really the showdown of a potential shutdown, it's important for us to recognize really what is at stake. This does not just mean us staying here holding the floor late on a Monday evening. I've got neighbors here in Washington, D.C. who work for the federal government. One works for Homeland Security, one works for Department of Defense. They asked me over the weekend, am I working on Tuesday? What's happening on Tuesday? Are we shutting the government down? When we talk about those who are uncertain about what happens this next week with their jobs, I think it's important to recognize that it's not just jobs that we're talking about. It's the reality that if I'm not at work, is the child care facility that my kids go to, is that going to be open? What does that mean to me? If I'm the local sandwich shop around the corner from where the Fish and Wildlife Service building is, and most of the folks that work for Fish and Wildlife are not working next week, what does that mean to me? How many loaves of bread do I make over this next week? I think we need to appreciate and understand that when we're talking about a government shutdown, it does not just mean those who receive a check from the federal government. The ripple effect from what we do has consequences. And so as we debate, as we ping pong back and forth between this body and our colleagues on the House side, I think we need to recognize that there are real lives, real families who are laying awake tonight wondering what the rest of the week is going to mean to them. This is a difficult time for us, and there are stakes that are very high. I've made have not hidden the fact that I am not a supporter of the Affordable Care Act. I have voted against it every time we have had the opportunity to do so. But do I believe that we should shut down the federal government at this point because we haven't been able to shut down the Affordable Care Act? I think that we have a responsibility here. We've got a responsibility to govern, and we're not doing that right now. Folks back home are talking about a lot of things. Talking about the fact that they had a tough fish season in certain parts of the state. They're talking about the fact that winter is coming on and our energy costs are still as high as they ever have been. They're worried about what's coming forward for them and their families. What they don't need is to know that their government can operate. So as we deal with these very weighty decisions at this very, very late hour, we need to remember who we represent, what we're doing here. It's not just about the next election. It's about making sure that those people that we work for are not stressing and are not anxious about what tomorrow is going to bring for them. So I'm hopeful in the less than 2 hours that we have, we will be able to figure out how we keep the government running, how we keep the wheels on the bus, and how we get back to governing. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.